It always catches me by surprise. Hey.
Didn't that used to trail off? I feel like
Yeah.
something changed with our YouTube and the algorithm or something. Let's blame
I'm
somebody. But
really going to need my first AD to give me the high sign to let me know that we've started. Hey, welcome to the Punch Up Pod with Lila and Pat. How is everybody? Thank you for joining us. It's the first show of the new year, Pat.
yeah, we took a little time off. Not intentionally. I was off last week, and I apologize, but I had some friend-related stuff. But we're not going to go there because we're having a fun show. But it's great to see you. In honor of missing you, my beer is separation anxiety.
Aw,
I like to match my beer.
The pre-show beer was Blind Pig, so I thought you were going to tell me that it was Blind Pig, and I was like, Jesus Christ.
Blind Pig, because I would like to get canceled by every organization on the left.
I mean, I do have, my eyes are minus 12. That's my eyes. So it wouldn't have been far off from my reality, but I didn't think you were going to start us off there. We can do that after a couple more drinks.
In the new year, I am a cruel, evil bastard. This is how I pivot to the right to grift. This is how we grift.
I knew. It's that whole fish hook, the red-brown alliance.
Yeah. Sorry, you're going to have to deal with my misogyny from now on.
Miami Jeff called it a while ago.
It's about time he was right.
You're proving him right. Well done. Separation anxiety. That's so nice. I feel the same way when I don't get to see you as often as I like. And, when we're putting a show together, we get to talk quite a bit through the week, which I love. So, I know there were other sadnesses last week, but I'm very happy to be back here with you this week.
Likewise. And we can save our rants for the air since we haven't had enough, one-on-one ranting, because half of our conversation is, do you believe this shit? Is this real? Is this a parody account? No, that's the president of the United States.
Oh my God. Yeah. President. It's mostly me just shaking with rage. And texting you in the middle of the night, hoping that you've turned your phone off. How was your weekend?
My weekend was good. I have no complaints. I relaxed. I did something I didn't think I would do in a long time, but I conceded that we're stuck indoors with COVID forever. And I bought a gaming console.
Really? Look at you. What did you buy?
I bought the cheapest one I could find, the Xbox. And I'm only going to play one game because I'm stuck in the 2000s or whatever. Call of Duty is all I'm going to ever play on the thing.
All right.
So, and it's fun going online and playing. And I bought it because I need competition in my life. I'm a very competitive guy. I don't have to win, but I need to compete on some level.
Yeah.
So shooting 13-year-olds, racists, who it's so absurd.
Gratifying.
How racist. In the chat, because they open up the chat before the game starts. I play online with these people.
Do they know that you're not 13, or does it matter?
No, nobody can see anyone.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm Pat the Burner, bitch. No. But there's just so much open racism and ridiculousness. Really? Like you see, it's crazy. So I mute it, but sometimes I listen just to hear how obnoxious people are. Anyway, so I did that.
Your slaughter of them, it feels good.
Yeah. Pac-Man.
Oz, I got to tell you, Oz says you strike me as a Pac-Man guy. I'm competitive as well, and I'm a big Boggle fan. Different from Call of Duty, but it gets my juices going.
To cancel out any sort of hipness I just gained, which obviously by saying hipness, I just lost all of that gain. But
even when you're playing Call of Duty, because isn't that from right? I mean, I'm just joking.
I literally play cribbage probably once a week too. So that's some old lady stuff, right?
Oh, okay. That's cribbage. Bridge.
Cribbage. I mean, bridge.
Bridge. Mahjong. Yeah, all those kinds of things that's my speed these days.
Yeah. So how was your weekend? Before I forget.
I mean, honestly, it's impressive how your social nicety game has upped its ante these last several months. It's good. I am talking to you from my new studio, which is the same place as my old studio. But my lovely husband set me up with all of my gear, my lights and my microphone and all that stuff is attached to my desk now. So I don't have to like set it all up for each show and then put it all down and figure out where things go. I just sit down in my chair, which is, yeah, it's kind of amazing. I'm still about 2 inches away from my green screen though.
So
but you know, I feel, yeah, exactly. I'm going to knock it over one day when I push my head back. But yeah, I'm not feeling great about the state of the world. So I'm drinking through it and just like looking forward to us kind of having fun today. We were on, I don't know if any of you all were able to tune in earlier, but Pat and I joined Jordan Sheridan on Status Coup earlier today, which was really fun. Jordan's awesome. He's done so much fantastic on the ground reporting, and it was really an honor for me that he had us on today. So shout out to Jordan and thank you. And then please, you know, watch his show. I'm sure most of you do anyway, but Status Coup. Is
amen.
great.
And I wanted to just say that there aren't too many, you know, there are a million podcasts but not many people are actually doing on the ground reporting, and his whole organization Status Coup is set up to do on the ground reporting, and they're covering the strikes. There's nobody's even close to doing half the strike coverage he is. So
yeah, I think
I align I was just gonna say I align politically with Jordan, you know, on most things. But even if you don't, at least appreciate the strike coverage he's putting out there, because it's really what we need right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. All the labor stuff. I think he's gone to Flint, Michigan more than any other reporter, independent or not. Yeah. So that was a lot of fun. Although he does think he has COVID, but apparently we're past COVID now in this country.
And it's mild. So if you get it, you don't even have to worry about it. I mean, it's just, you're good. So
yeah. Yeah.
Should we start the show? Do we want to?
Let's just do it. Should we dive in? Got a lot to get to.
All right, let's dive in. Let's hash it out. I cut you off. I can't unmute you. I tried to unmute you. You have to undo it yourself. And we're easing out.
Hey, there we go. Easing out of that long intro. All right.
You just
are you gonna share that screen?
The innuendo. The wheel. Let's get the wheel up. Let's do it.
Let's get that wheel up.
What's on there? Shot. Oh, look, I see shots on there. That's never been there.
Thank the good Lord.
All right. Where's my wheel? Oh, there it is. Whoops.
We're out of practice.
Yeah, baby.
Right?
Oh, that's a great place to start. Actually, that frames the whole deal. The CDC is a joke, because why wouldn't you want the Believe Science administration to do as much damage as possible to believing science and the CDC?
Right. And so the whole thing is that the CDC, everyone probably is following this, but they shortened the time to quarantine down to 5 days out of nowhere. Just 5 days is now good.
Well, no, wait, sorry, but not out of nowhere. It was because the CEO of Delta told them to.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And they're under fire for this, justifiably so. I mean, if Trump's CDC had said, oh, well, now suddenly 4 days is good, 3 days is good, you know, and if you think back, Biden with the schools, immediately it went from 6 days, or 6 feet, 6 feet.
Right.
Kids could be 6 feet apart. And then the schools were like, there's no way to make kids 6 feet apart.
How do you get 3 is good. Kids into a classroom with, so
three turns out 3 is good. 3 is fine. 3 is fine.
And this, sorry, but the CDC thing with the 5-day quarantine, you didn't even have to test out of it if you felt, I mean, part of what was so horrible is you didn't have to test out of it. Then it was like, well, the PCR test will sometimes pick up that you still have it, but you're not contagious anymore. The antigen test will pick up that you're not contagious, but you don't need the antigen test. We can't find an antigen test. Oh my God, I have to do the tip of the teeth and the top of the tongue. The antigen tests are unavailable. They're expensive. And they're finding now that the incubation period for somebody like you might not start being communicable what is it called? Infectious until after 5 days. So you could be asymptomatic and go back to work, and then your viral load doesn't actually hit its heaviest, levels until 12 days in. So this is a disaster.
So, and this whole thing is it's because we don't have testing readily available like some countries do. I mean, other countries, what was it, France or something? They, England, you check out France, at the grocery store, and they in your bag they just shove in some
week
COVID
supply.
tests.
Yeah.
So we're way behind on that. And what you should do is if you're going to bring people back after 5 days, there should be continued testing. Like, so now you're at the viral load contagious stage. Turns out you should stay the fuck home for a few days,
Right.
But it's all to avoid that. And I think the public, when you get to the point where CNN is calling out the CDC, I mean, they're really throwing them under the bus, but we'll talk about that. But here's of all people, Brian Seltzer, who's the senior whatever at CNN. He's the senior political
reliable sources. He's like their fact checking.
But he's the head of the news group, more or less, too, which is astounding. But here he is.
Here's the Today Show. Here's Savannah Guthrie interviewing the CDC director, being very much in touch with the public, recognizing the CDC has turned into a punchline. It is so sad, but it's true. The CDC has turned into a punchline. Watch.
All of this mixed messages or new messages has led to a meme on social media poking fun at the CDC's advice. Tweets like CDC now recommends eating straight off the floor at Waffle House. The CDC now says it's in fact okay to eat Tide Pods. The CDC says go ahead and get bangs. It's amusing, people letting off steam, of course, but is there a larger credibility problem with your agency right now?
And the answer is yes. There's a huge credibility crisis for the CDC. And Oliver, to your point, it just causes people, if they hear all these mixed messages and all this confusion and it's all too complicated, they just move on and ignore it.
Yeah, I mean, I know she's hired some Democratic consultant, like media consultant, for her communication skills.
The story is just messaging. It's just her messaging.
Yeah, right. Which is so insane. I mean, that's the whole Democratic Party is in such disarray right now, and all they talk about is messaging. The truth is, you can try to message that all you want, but their whole goal is just to get people back to work, sick or not. So you can message that, but I think what's happening is people are really seeing the reality that their lives are not worth aren't worth anything when it comes to the donor class.
Yeah, I mean, it's class warfare at this point, and the economy is thriving. That's the whole point. Is like the economy is, hey, keep the economy going. But my point with this, I really think there's a concerted effort because Biden. I don't know if you saw, but today his approval ratings hit a record low,
33%, right?
33%. He's already passed Reagan's lowest low, which was 35.
Yeah.
And he's now the third lowest, I believe, president in history. But so
number one.
I think there's a decision that's been made in the Democratic Party propaganda messaging apparatus to throw the CDC under the bus. And you see all these blue checks saying, well, Biden's listening to the CDC. What do you want to do? Because that backs up his argument that he's listening to science. So even though the CDC is really following directives from his administration, he can say, well, we did that because the CDC said this. And that's
and you can't
science,
question them because as we saw like a month ago when Fauci said, I am science. So you question me, you're questioning science. Which of course is what you're supposed to do with science. But it is really a disaster.
Yeah, this is the reality we're looking at right now. This has become true. Some of you may die. That is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Yeah, I mean, amazingly, Marcia Fudge, I think, tweeted out yesterday something about how our economy in the U.S. is thriving in a way that no other developed country is thriving after 2 years of a global pandemic. And we have the highest body count. So the audacity to tweet that out, because basically the only reason that that's happened, our economy, which is only, the top the top of the top 1% is thriving is because we've allowed 1 million of our citizens to die and many more to develop long COVID and then, I mean, 1 million other things, the homeless problem and not having a living wage and all of those things. But like on the backs of almost 1 million people dying of COVID in our country, to brag about the fact that Wall Street is still doing well is really a level of arrogance and disdain for human life that's contemptible.
And I think that the opportunity for the left here is that a lot of this is transparent to people. A lot of
Right.
people that watch MSNBC and CNN are seeing Seltzer go out to the CDC now.
Right.
And, you know, the wheels start to turn a little bit. And the problem with shit libs is they'll turn a little bit, but then they'll forget about it and go back.
Right.
But our job on the left, I think, is, you know, convince as many people as possible that strikes are the way. You know, workers are not going to get their rights through the Democratic Party. So shame the Democratic Party, support strikes.
That's right.
Spread the word, look around, point out how many homeless people there are. I mean, like I was saying on Jordan's show, I drive down the street here and it's camp after camp after camp of homeless people while the Democratic Party is saying the economy is great. And
that's right.
To me, that tells you that the Democratic Party isn't on our side.
Absolutely.
Should we spin the wheel?
Let's spin the wheel.
Oh, I like hearing your ice. That should be a whole sound bite. You should add that.
Baby.
Thank God. Thank God. I knew it was
there
coming.
We go.
Come to mama.
Here, I'm going to hit remove so I don't remove. I mean, we've left shots up too much. So anyway,
you do you, Pat. No, I'm kidding.
don't talk about my love life.
Cheers, everybody. That's my third drink.
Hit the spot.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty good. I'm getting into a good mood. All right, let's see. Oh, but that's not really right. This is ours.
Yeah, baby.
There's more. How did I know?
Now we're talking. This is why I've missed this show so much. Come on.
I mean, I honestly, I haven't drank whiskey since our show, I think.
I haven't drunk any vodka either, Pat.
I sense a lie. Did I remove shot? I don't even know if I did. Anyway, cheers. I'm taking my shot. Who
Cheers.
cares?
I'm about to bring out all the crappy misogynistic jokes.
That's good. I'll go full misogynist. So
cancel
if
me.
If we lose our audience, we just pivot right.
Let's get those Romney Republicans.
The vaccine is a fraud. All right.
Yeah.
Let's not go there. But we have a lot on the vaccine stuff.
We got a lot.
Yeah, baby.
We left some of it. We haven't even talked about those kids.
I mean, this is everybody's favorite. Listen, every time they wheel Hillary Clinton out, you gotta kind of laugh through your tears. So this is that is mine. That was supposed to be last. I couldn't help myself. Don't laugh. They say to the kid who's mailing Santa, you still think Hillary beat Bernie. But anyway, the punch left Hillary. Here we go. Hillary warns progressive squad will tank Democrats in the midterms. I mean, this lady propped up her friend, a racist moron reality TV show host, and then lost to him. She should be too ashamed to show her face in public for the rest of her years. And she's going to tell people how to win. She lost twice.
Well, the easiest way to get on CNN or MSNBC is to be historically wrong and or lose your election as a Democrat who's in the center, because then you get invited on to say anything left of me is why I lost.
Right.
And
and nobody questions you or pushes back. Claire McCaskill's up there doing the same thing every chance she gets.
Claire McCaskill, hired by MSNBC.
I mean, I don't watch any of them, but I see blurbs about her. But yeah, she's up there talking about how, defund the police is going to tank.
Oh, we Yeah, we heard that for like 6 months. To defund the
Yeah.
police is going to cost Democrats elections, you know.
And the two things to remind everybody is there was one candidate who ran on to defund the police, and that was Cori Bush, and she won. So that's a joke. Yeah, exactly. Hi, wear Pilgrim. And also, I don't even know which of the police departments across the country have actually been defunded. I mean, very few of them. So that has just become a straw man tactic to get people riled up and scared.
Yeah, the reality is that most police forces were funded more, and they do that under the guise of police training, and they do police training. You know, they expand the training and background checking and whatever, but police departments don't need more money.
Yeah.
Oh, Kaylin, she's from your state. I'm sorry.
I know.
Ouch.
It's a bummer.
I
yeah,
saw
so the punching left, there's a couple. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, I saw a Bill Maher's clip, which we've got here.
Oh, God, yeah.
I mean, the whole idea is they want to blame, they need to blame somebody for their upcoming losses, which are inevitable. They're going to get shellacked in the midterms. There's no avoiding it.
Well, but there was a way to avoid it. There is, right? But like they won't do that.
The way to avoid it is FDR like shit. You get out there and you provide masks, you provide, you know, immediately taking office, Biden could have used the Defense Production Act and ramped up local masks manufacturing. He literally could say, this company here has the tools, so we're going to make you make masks. You're going to make masks. Right. They still make money. It's not like they don't make money. They make a shit ton of money when you get taken over like that way. Mass testing, all of that could have been done. So this idea,
and that's just for the COVID stuff. He could have done $15 minimum wage. He could have canceled all of student debt. He could have, even by executive order, he could have actually enacted, I mean, I know he never would, but Medicare for all, right? Like that would take a lot of the skepticism about big pharma away from people who are, you know, he canceled paid sick. There's no paid sick leave now. The OSHA standards have decreased. I mean, there's a lot of things he could do that would be really popular, that would help protect people, that would be winning messaging, and he's done nothing.
Right. And the contrast after going from Trump to him could have been stark. It could have been, because at the very least, most people thought Biden is going to be better on COVID. To hell with all the policy stuff.
Right.
You know, we're in the middle of a war. It's a war with COVID, and Biden's going to be better at that war than Trump is. And we're seeing he's not. It's the same shit. And it's even worse because there's no resistance to him when centrists, you know, when they hear someone like Biden who's supposed to be the left, he's not the left, but he's supposed to be a Democrat at least, saying we should rush into schools, and we have a whole thing on school stuff we're going to get into, but it's very, we're doomed, is what I'm saying.
Yeah, we're doomed. And the thing that they're going to do, and I already show this with Hillary, of course, punching towards progressives again, but you know, it's just awful. But you know, they're gonna blame. This is what they always do. They're gonna blame teachers unions. They're gonna blame the progressives. They're gonna blame COVID. They're gonna blame the unvaccinated. They're gonna blame MAGA. It's like it's everybody else's fault, and what they're never gonna do is cost their donors a penny.
That's the whole game. That's the whole game for anyone in political power right now.
Yeah.
Because losing your own election doesn't even matter at this point. If you lose your election, you become a lobbyist, you get a corporate job because you're rewarded with that. There is no downside other than rotting in hell, if there was actually a hell, for not representing people.
Yeah.
Let's show that clip. Where's the clip?
Okay.
Oh, Bill Maher.
Yeah, the Bill Maher. Do you need me to do it?
Sure.
Look at me. I'm going to push it.
Women are so good at tech.
Oh, buddy.
But what about liberals? You know, the high information by the science people? In a recent Gallup survey, Democrats did much worse than Republicans in getting the right answer to the fundamental question, what are the chances that someone who gets COVID will need to be hospitalized? The answer is between 1% and 5%. 41% of Democrats thought it was over 50%. Another 28% put the chances at 20 to 49. So almost 70% of Democrats are wildly off on this key question and also have a greatly exaggerated view of the danger of COVID-2 and the mortality rate among children. All of which explains why today the states with the highest share of schools that are still closed are all blue states. So if the right-wing media bubble has to own things like climate change denial, shouldn't liberal media have to answer for, how did your audience wind up believing such a bunch of crap about COVID?
Unfortunately, once again, that proves it's not really right or left or anything. It is the moneyed class who just wants to get everybody back to work and to sweep under the number of infections that are happening right now and the stress on the hospital system, the kids who are winding up in hospitals, that they're vectors in their community, they're spreaders, that they might wind up with long COVID and now they'll have a lifetime of some disease. There'll also be a pre-existing condition. Now, the next time that a virus comes up, they will be labeled somebody with a comorbidity. So when they perish from that, all of a sudden it's like, well, it's really sad, but that person had a comorbidity, which is what we're being sort of trained to like, well, at least if you're really healthy, if you're not fat, if you exercise, if you take vitamin D, if you go, so that is, he's talking about liberals. Liberals are on his side. I think a lot of liberals, they just want to open up the economy and get those kids back to school.
Well, and that is exactly what they're doing. That's the whole thing. And the difference is that Democrats phrase it right. Like when the CDC director comes on, they frame it around comorbidities and this and that. And Trump would say, fat people need to lose. It's mostly fat people dying or something,
Yeah.
But she's saying the same thing. She's saying it's people with disabilities. It's people with overweight, so there was some study that said most of America has got 3 of those comorbidities or something, like a majority
just being
of America.
an American at this point is a comorbidity, right? Like with our water supply, our air supply. Yeah. There was
you got me thinking about air supply.
Between the me doing Boggle and you talking about air supply, I think we're really revealing our age. So where are we going? Do we want to talk about
no, let's move on. Because the wheel has we have a whole thing on
we have
it
built in
stuff.
we have a whole we have a whole formula going here. All right, let's go.
Do we have a formula?
Yeah, baby.
Democracy in peril.
How did you spend I will always remember where I was on January 6th, Pat.
On January 6th, I was watching all of that and trying not to tweet out insensitive things because I knew it was going to be, it was, in my mind, a significant event. And it was, I don't want to say a threat to democracy, but it was a power grab, and it was a
Capitol. Yeah,
it was a riot. It was orchestrated and pushed as a power grab and a potential way for Trump to stay in power. That's true. Whether you believe it or not, that is what was happening.
That was his hope, no matter what. Yeah.
But the whole point is that is being used as the only thing that matters.
You're right.
That will forever be the only thing that matters to the Democrats, because if they run on anything else, they lose. So they have to run on democracy, the threat to democracy.
This is the biggest threat to democracy.
Yeah, and if it really was, which the right is a threat to democracy, the left is a threat to democracy too. But if it was, the Democrats would enforce. They would act on some of the things they said they would do, like pass the Voting Rights Act. They can't even. Right. They scared the hell out of everybody, and they made Stacey Abrams this big, huge figure because she was the hero who protected voting rights, and now they're not doing anything about voting rights.
Yeah.
And they're, and they're about to cross in 2022 this year. They're going to lose in the midterms and then have no ability to do anything.
Yeah.
So they can just run on this forever, I guess, but they're going to lose. So,
I mean, this is what happens when their business model, I know I say it all the time, but is not predicated on winning seats. It is predicated on scare tactics, right? Which is why we haven't codified Roe versus Wade. It's why they, use the fake excuse of the parliamentarian not to enact a $15 minimum wage, which is way too little anyway. They're going to keep talking about democracy is in danger, but they will not do a single thing. We know what needs to be done. And what's wildly popular in this country is sorry, I know we all have different feelings about Bernie right now, but all of the policies he ran on are popular with Republicans, independents, and Democrats. If you want to win, that's what you work on. That's what you do. That's what you use your bully pulpit to do. They're not
just
concerned.
lean into that. And
yeah,
it's so obvious to everybody that they're not fighting for these things. Like democracy is in peril, but you're against getting rid of the filibuster. And
so
so
instead
Biden
they put on like a, sorry, go ahead.
Well, no. So Biden is now coming around to like, we should possibly maybe change the filibuster, but it's too late. It's not going to happen now because he's given Manchin all this power. He's given Sinema all this power. He hasn't leveraged anything from winning the election. He blew that, and he's going to lose the midterms. They're going to have no ability to do anything at all.
Yeah.
Nothing, literally nothing.
Yeah, which shows you that if you were really scared about, the failing of democracy, which we know, we all, and we talked about it with Jordan earlier today, but in 2014, that Princeton University study came out that said that because none of the policies that people vote for and that a majority of the country want are being enacted by the people who are supposed to be representing us, we are now living in an oligarchy. I mean, that is how we're seen in the rest of the world. The people in this country really need to understand that. And so to say that democracy is in danger, they're right. It is. I mean, people go to the polls, they vote like their lives depend on it because their lives actually really do. And then nothing changes. Nothing changes. And we just keep ratcheting to the right. That's all that happens, right? So they did this whole January 6th commemoration and I know we're going to show, but held out candles and the kente cloth and
this right
here.
Here.
What the fuck? And they did
even Mitch McConnell was in on this one. I don't, come on.
What does it even mean? It's so ridiculous. Hillary Clinton and her acolytes spent 5 years saying that Trump was an illegitimate president when he wasn't. He's gross, he's disgusting, but he won a Democratic election. He just did. So they spent 4 years saying that, democracy had already failed. And then they go through this whole January 6th, commemoration and rush off the dais to hug Dick Cheney, who actually stole an election, but he did it the right way through the Supreme Court.
Yeah, and then when they're, and we talked about this on Jordan's show, but there's a New York Times article saying Biden should run with Liz Cheney, Biden, Liz Cheney 2024. That's how do you come off of Black Lives Matter and the movement in the streets that was obvious to everybody, and then you fund the police more, and the Democratic Party is lobbing up Liz Cheney.
But I know we talked about this earlier also, so forgive me if anybody's tuning in again, but when I call liberals out on Joe Biden and I say, how is he different from George W. Bush? There's no answer because there isn't a difference. Their votes are in line. Their policies are in line. The damage to the country and to the rest of the world, there's no air between them. So a Biden Cheney ticket makes perfect sense for Republicans. But what I'm hoping for is that we have somebody on the left to represent us. And that's what's really terrifying is I don't see where that's going to come from. I'm really hoping that there is somebody, a younger Bernie Sanders, who mounts some sort of insurgence, or a primary to at least.
Well, I was say, have you considered Lin-Manuel, whatever?
Sing a song.
He could run. He could run an Oprah or
Oh yeah, Michelle
I don't know.
Obama.
There's somebody. So we have footage of the Zoom call, which is amazing. So let's go to that while I grab another drink.
Yeah, for sure.
To begin the conversation, we're privileged to have a contribution from one of the great creative talents of our time, Lin-Manuel Miranda. May his beautiful words be an inspiration to us. Among the words he said and in the music, we'll make it right for you. If we lay a strong enough foundation, we'll pass it on to you and we'll give the world to you. Lin-Manuel and his father and the Hamilton singers whom we'll hear from said that they were all very honored to be asked to participate today. I call your attention to...
A new year brings hope for the future, new energy to face the tasks ahead of us, and a renewed promise to strengthen the foundations of our democracy. We are all stewards of the American experiment, working to pass down to our children and our grandchildren a more perfect union that treats all its citizens with fairness and equity. We should never take our rights and liberties for granted, and we must remain committed to finding a way forward together. That's what I wrote about in the song Dear Theodosia from Hamilton. I believe no challenge is worth abandoning our efforts to unite as Americans. We'll keep working, generation after generation, until we reach that someday.
Oh my God. When do we cut this? I don't know. I kind of want to watch a little more just to see.
Theodosia, what to say to you? You have my eyes, you have your mother's name. When you came into the world, you cried, and it broke my heart. I'm dedicating every
I can't stop watching.
Domestic
I actually do
was never
enjoy it.
quite my style.
Okay, I'm sorry. I have to stop it. I have to stop it because it's ridiculous. What the
I could
fuck
watch
is
all of
happening?
that.
You're so worried about
my
the
God.
insurgency and these people who are violating the Constitution and they stormed the Capitol and killed people.
Oh,
By the way, most of the people I think everybody who died, there was one police officer who died in a hospital later. Awful. I mean, it's all awful, but like, what is this? What are they doing? They're not enacting a single policy that would help people. And by doing that, they are really sublimating democracy. And people are suffering. Like they're looking for anything for help. That does nothing.
And that's the whole point, is that they can run on this, and by making this central, nothing else really matters. I mean, if democracy, it's either democracy. Are you for democracy, against democracy? You're for democracy, you have to vote for Biden. Let's not talk about how he did so little for people during the pandemic. His campaign promises don't matter. His COVID response, Trump's was worse, but was it? I don't even know if it was.
I know we're going to get to that, but yeah.
So, I mean, obviously Trump's, telling people not to take the virus seriously set off the country in a pathway of
that's been continued.
A whole swath of people are not going to believe in stuff because of Trump, but he's the president now. So that aside, that doesn't excuse the masks, the testing, all that other stuff, so, but they frame this all about democracy. Like it's all that matters. And all I see when I see that fucking video, because of Lin, and did I call him Lin-Manuel Noriega? Did I? No,
you didn't, but now you did. So whoops.
Oh, that's what I almost called him. Good thing I didn't call him that, because that popped into my head. But all I can think about is the Hillary moment that was ignored in New York when she was running against. God, I hate Democrats. I know.
I'm flipping things too fast and not reading through.
You're
I'm going to listen to you. I know.
My
sorry.
ADHD.
I know it's terrible. It's terrible.
Like,
I want the people in the comments to know we're trying to read and get to it while also having conversations, and it's just the two of us, and we're drunk. So thank you for your comments. I so appreciate it, but sometimes I'm scattered.
Okay.
But yeah, okay.
So anytime I see him, it reminds me of New York when Bernie was on the verge of winning New York, which would which would have pretty much been a game changer in his election. And Hillary went on stage and did the colored time joke, the colored people time joke.
Yeah. Oh God, you're
That
talking,
was
yeah,
at
2016.
that was at a Hamilton production, and it was her and Bill de Blasio on stage, and they were joking about how Black people were lazy and
I didn't know that was a Hamilton, like I didn't know the
That was
Hamilton
Hamilton.
connection. Wow.
That was at Hamilton.
That was gross. I mean,
Yeah,
but
and
by
so-
the way,
and so
also, yeah.
Well, the point with that is it's not, I mean, it is the main point is that it happened, but the really revealing part is that got no media coverage. It got very little media coverage. It was like, you can't, like, that should have ended her campaign if that got the appropriate amount of coverage, because that was a scripted moment. They planned this moment of talking about, they literally planned it.
Yeah.
Talking about ha, and it's in New York. And it's like,
from the lady who had prison help in her governor's mansion. Yeah, that was gross. But, you know, also in 2020 with COVID, there was a huge push, you know, when I was volunteering for Bernie, there was all this outreach to try to get, you know, reach out to New Yorkers who were, I think the primary was in June there. And we were trying to get Cuomo to push back the primary and allow vote by mail. And because people were dying, we had no idea what was going on, how contagious it was. And Bernie wanted to stop in-person voting. And Cuomo said that if there was vote by mail and if it didn't happen on the day that the primary had been set before COVID, that Bernie or whoever won, but it was going to be Bernie, would be docked a certain percentage of delegates. So like, there's your democracy from the Democratic Party, right? I mean, it's just all so hypocritical and gross.
But that takes me back to at least CNN and all the news media hyping up Andrew Cuomo as the antidote to Trump. And turns out he's the worst.
He's the blue Trump.
We knew it at the time that he was like the worst representative to be out there saying we're listening to science. And here's the Democrats presented a guy who killed more people in nursing homes than anyone in the whole fucking world.
Yeah.
As the hero antidote to Trump.
Yeah. I mean, they have no ideology, which is why they'll embrace, you know, Lynn Cheney. All right, let's spin the wheel. We have 17 more minutes and lots to say.
Yeah, baby.
That's a good way to shut me up.
I mean, that's fun. That's fun. Come on.
Is it? Yeah, it is fun.
I wish people in the chat would tell us what they're drinking at home if they're joining us. How many shots are you all doing?
Let me remove shot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Does anyone else drink with us? Or it's just us? People
it's
are
just us pretending that you guys are all helping us along. All right. Cheers.
Oh. Cheers to the Kroger workers who went on strike. 8,000 of them today went on strike, fighting back against an evil workforce.
An evil workforce that keeps them.
They're not. Wait.
All right. Look, we got some vodka. We got there's old fashioned.
Speaking my language here.
Not tonight, but usually a Moscow Mule. We got a lot of vodka. We got a lot of vodka in the house. A lot of the red wine. Thanks, Kaylin. That's what I'll be moving on to after the show. Beer before liquor.
I have red wine that needs to be drank, and I'm saving it for like an elite. Like we're gonna do a whole show on Pelosi one of these days.
Yeah. I'll drive up to Sacramento and drink your wine. Vodka. Look at all the vodka. I love it.
I did not like vodka. You got to hide it for me, but I just want to say, like 6 months ago, well, it's probably a year and a half now at this point, but I asked for fuck Pelosi videos from people. I don't even remember what it was for, but I got like 500 people sent me videos of themselves saying fuck Pelosi, and I need to put them up at some point. So
this is art. That will be
The next-
we have a new segment.
Yeah.
We're doing This is Art in there, and we are welcoming any contributions from people, but just something fun and light that brings us a little bit of joy, because sometimes it's feeling oppressive. But should we spin? Because
we
I
will spin.
gotta go pick up my son. No, I'm kidding. My husband's gonna go pick up his son after my
You're
5
pulling
drinks.
the kid card. God damn
I know
it.
it's terrible.
All right, let's
Yeah,
spin.
baby.
It's gonna be a shot to punish us.
Yes. The gods are shining
Yes.
down on me. I really do need a sponsorship from Sky Vodka, because I feel like I'm keeping them in business.
Well, I accidentally poured a big shot, but here we go.
That's no
Cheers.
accident.
Cheers to
Cheers,
wait,
everybody.
why does it say? Oh, because I removed shot. I was.
Yeah.
It's on harm reduction now, but
Harm
cheers.
reduction. Cheers. I'm gonna vomit. Okay, I'm just taking a
In some
moment.
ways, this shot is harm reduction.
Oh my god, I'm feeling a little woozy. Give me a second.
Are you?
I'm back on my keto diet because New Year, and I'm feeling a little sick. But okay, for the art, here we go.
Cheers.
Cheers. Ah. Okay. Let's see it. Should we just go for harm reduction, or are you spinning, or what are we doing?
Oh, we're spinning.
Yeah,
spin
baby.
it.
We have too much. There we go.
How did I know? Harm reduction. So, okay, here's what I will say. I live in California, and it's a blue state, and I knew it was going to go for Biden, even though 52 of 55 counties of the biggest and most diverse state went for Bernie in the primary. So clearly that could have been made into something, as opposed to South Carolina that was never going to go for a Democrat anyway. But I had the luxury, and I don't know what I would have done if I lived in a red state or a purple state, of not voting for a corrupt, disgusting, racist politician, Joe Biden. But I understand why people did. And I think that for a lot of people, what it ended up being was Trump is so vile and such a disgusting racist, so overtly, and was mishandling COVID so horribly, that the one hope that I had for Biden, and I was even resentful of it in my thought of what the future was going to be, was that he was going to handle it better. And liberals would be like, you see, it was really good that we got, it was good that we got him. And instead, he's at least as bad, if not worse, because nobody calls him out on it.
That is ultimately the problem, is that, okay, so when you have Trump was forced into giving us a paycheck twice. Twice the public got checks from Trump because he had to, because there was pressure on him from the media and the left. And all that pressure exists on Biden right now to do that from the left, but it doesn't get any media coverage. It's ignored entirely. So if Trump was president right now, I guarantee you at least everything would be awful. We'd be fucked. We'd probably be more fucked in other ways, but he would have been forced into giving us little peon checks. We would have had another couple checks, I think.
And we've been told by the Biden administration, there's no checks coming. There's no shutdown coming. And by the way, could somebody explain to me, is this what the x-axis is supposed to look like?
The flattening the curve. It's flat.
We flattened it vertically against the y-axis. That's not okay for cases, right? And then the other thing is this narrative that happens. So, the harm reduction, right? Like, who is really the harm reduction? If people are allowing Biden to get away with this phase of the pandemic, which is basically sort of eugenics, honestly, where they're just allowing people who are unvaccinated or who are older or who have comorbidities or people who are, underprivileged in any way, allowing them to die and explaining it away. But there's this narrative that I see out of liberals that, it's another anti-vaxxer red MAGA person who's dying, and they kind of like revel in it. There's some glee and giddiness and at these people's deaths. But the truth is, most of the people who have died from COVID are Black or brown or poor or older. Pacific Islander, Latino, Indigenous, Black Americans have a COVID death rate of double or more than that of white and Asian Americans. That's the Democratic base.
Yeah, and the message from the party, this was yesterday, an article in .com. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
Politico, Axios, whatever, one of those.
But yeah, an insider is close to the president and saying it may be popular in certain corners of Twitter, but for masking to work as a public health tool, people need to actually wear them. To prevent spread, the focus should be maximizing the number of people simply wearing a mask in the first place, not shifting the goalpost to urge everyone to go above and beyond to use high filtration masks to make it less likely they themselves will inhale particles. So this was a whole discussion about
do we send out N95 masks, right?
The masks that actually protect people. And so their argument is that, well, 50% of the people will not wear masks anyway. So because of that, you should not give the people that do wear masks the protection to prevent COVID from being spread to them. I mean, even if you buy his argument, even if you're like, okay, those people are not going to wear masks no matter what we say. I agree. A lot of them will not, but you should still protect people who want to. And N95 masks do prevent the spread. There's absolutely a load of evidence saying that. Right. So anyway.
But also this whole framing, and they've done it. I mean, that's a political framing, right? They're trying this whole pandemic of the unvaccinated and, it's all the red states, but that is not actually representative of our country. And, so this study just came out recently. 4 in 5 adults back ventilation, social distancing, travel restrictions, mandatory mask usage is 72%. Encouraging COVID-19 booster shots, 70%.
Yeah.
So this is not a country that's as divided as the Biden administration likes to pretend that we are. It really isn't, and again, like I keep going back to Bernie's policies, but those are widely popular across the spectrum. And so what we're seeing now is the Biden administration is just making this a political wedge issue as opposed to a health policy issue.
It's a wedge issue, but they also they're embracing everything that Trump would have done. Like literally Trump would have said that schools should open, that comorbidities, people, fat people are going to die. It's just like the flu. It's a cold. Take your masks off. I mean, there's no doubt that Biden's take the mask off moment is going to be just the same as George W. Bush's
mission accomplished.
Accomplished. It's the same damn thing. It is. Yeah, and we're going to look back at that, and Democrats are going to pay a heavy cost for that. But they don't care. That's the point, is that they really don't care, because we're at the point where
the economy's up and running. It's doing so great.
It's all about the economy. It's all about the donors. Nothing else matters, even a sliver.
Yeah. Cheers.
All right. What do you got? Should we move on to the next topic?
I think we should. Do you have anything good that's going to make us happy?
I see 3 shots.
Three
shots.
Let's see. I feel like we need to talk about this whole learning loss bullshit.
But we have to talk about learning loss, but we're going to land on it.
All right.
Even if it takes 3 shots to do it. There we go. There's one down.
Look, all right. I'm gonna
try to remove all instances. I have the power.
I mean, we got about 6 minutes left in us, and
all right, fine.
Right?
I've said that before, but I've only meant like 10 seconds.
I know, but look at that. I've never seen the wheel look like that. Interesting.
Because I just,
I know, it's a whole new graphic.
It's
amazing.
All right, cheers to who's this shot to? To lefties who are still following politics, even though it's incredibly depressing and we have no wins. But please, for the love of God, support striking workers and make that your emphasis.
Labor
that should be our emphasis. Labor.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Right,
Oh my God. All right.
I'm hating that shot. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, baby.
Let's go.
I think I killed my liver.
Sorry, we're still not there. All right, hey, but this is the first time. This will be a first. We're gonna clear the wheel out. We're gonna do
All right.
every
Look at that.
topic.
Yeah.
Oh, and I forgot to remove it.
It's all right. We'll figure it out.
This up. All right,
Are we doing the Elon Musk and the Bernie?
Yeah, let's show. This is our. This is a beautiful.
Just looking for something fun because we feel like we need to do something to give us hope. And yes, I see what you're saying. Sorry, we pressed it at the same time. Striking workers and unions are why I have hope. And cheers to that. Thank you. Yes, let's watch Bernie sweep the floor with Elon Musk. Am I pushing the button?
You're pushing the button.
Oh God, if I can see it. Here I go. Wait a second. And
over the last 30 years, the top 1% has seen a $21 trillion increase in their wealth. The bottom half of America has seen a $900 billion decline in their wealth.
That's strange.
No, that is insane. And that has got to end.
Yeah, like what are the set of things that can be done to make the future better?
We have to redefine what being a great nation is about.
What if we dig a tunnel under LA and then other people asked us to dig tunnels, and so we said yes in a few cases.
That really doesn't improve people's well-being.
People dig holes in the ground all the time.
I don't think that that's terribly important.
Hole in the ground is better than no hole in the ground.
What are you talking about?
What about like a little tiny underground spaceship, basically?
I don't want to become a science fiction.
You could put video games in it.
You don't have to do any of that.
I mean, the Model X can do this like ballet thing to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
That doesn't do anything.
We should do a flamethrower.
That is insane.
It makes sense, though.
Look, here's the bottom line on this thing.
Flamethrower.
You are the wealthiest guy in America, worth about $150 billion.
That's true.
And you paid very, very little in federal income taxes.
Yeah. But, my goal is, try to do useful things.
How many Americans actually believe that we should give tax breaks to billionaires and cut Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid? Very few.
I think a Tesla is the most fun thing you could possibly buy ever.
You can go out and get a job at McDonald's in the minimum wage and go bankrupt because of medical bills that you can't pay. Paying taxes.
Well,
that's what I want you to do right now.
No,
do it.
No.
Yes.
Definitely not.
So what you have right now, that's what greed is about.
I don't want to bet.
Well, guess what?
No.
The American people, the working class of this country, are standing up and taking all of your wealth and all of your power.
This is crazy. Stop bothering me.
And that's what a political revolution is about.
It's easy to demonize people.
Just pay taxes. You're going to end up in jail.
Well, what could have been? What could have been? I know, it kills me. It is a good parody. Obviously, that was a joke. I mean, those were real words coming out of both of those men's mouths, but it was, cut together, obviously. So I know we're getting close to the end of the show, and we didn't get to talk about learning loss, but I think one thing that we really need to know is there's been a concerted effort to throw, and which is why we titled our show Kill Them Kids, to get kids back to open up the schools, regardless of the costs, regardless of the pushback from many people in the Black community and in the Latin community, and poor parents who these wealthy white liberals are now pretending to have some care for because they want to get their kids back into their classrooms. From Jen Psaki and Biden to doctors on CNN. It's horrific.
Do we have one more in this or?
Yeah.
Or
I mean, we should just show a couple things because it's just awful.
Because I feel like the kids is the whole point. And this is where it becomes obvious to most people that none of this is about anything about society. It's all about capitalism. It's all about keeping us working.
Yep.
So,
are you showing Jen Psaki or what are we doing?
I'm gonna pretend spin.
You're gonna spin?
Yeah, baby.
You're really spinning?
That's just buying me time to press the button. Oh, look at that.
There
Learning
you
loss.
go.
There we go.
What's gonna happen?
We won. We won.
Yeah.
Learning loss. All right. Here's President Biden, the Honorable President Biden's.
The president said yesterday he wants schools to be open. We know they can be open safely, and we're here to help make that happen. And he agrees with medical, scientific, and education experts that because of the historic work we've done, we are more than equipped to ensure schools are open. And we're going to keep our children and educators who selflessly serve their community safe, but ensure that children are not enduring the mental health impact of not being in school, that there are not gaps in learning. This includes schools everywhere, including in Chicago.
I mean, these mental health experts, which of course, this is horrific. These 2 years have been horrific. There's a lot of inequities that have led to mental health issues over the years in our country. Not one of which is being addressed by this administration ever, right? Like the fact that their parents can't go to doctors, or they have to work 3 jobs to barely afford some crappy apartment that has no infrastructure, where they need to use a space heater that then, causes a fire that kills 19 people. I mean, none of these things is ever addressed. It's this sort of broad swath. And by the way, even if schools open, there's so many things. If schools open right now, half the staff is out with infection. So it's basically just a daycare center where people are being, pushed into a huge auditorium, way too many people in one room with a substitute teacher.
Yeah.
But also when people are pushing the closing of schools, it's not forever. It's to flatten the curve. It's like for 2 weeks to get through a pandemic.
And here's what people are missing. What's absent from the mainstream media narrative is that the striking workers they're not the teachers that don't want school to go on. They're asking for basic ventilation, basic masking policies, basic
testing, right?
Yeah. And what we're hearing from the Biden administration is teachers who test positive for COVID should go to fucking work.
Yeah.
Like this is so anti-science at this point. It's blatant. And so here's Morning Joe, which is somehow this balanced news network of lefties on MSNBC, but it's not lefties. It's the whatever. They're the Wall Street class. It's yeah. Left doesn't even matter anymore. Anyway,
if you don't want to teach, don't teach. Yeah. Quit. Just stay at home and stop teaching children. Okay, because when you set up that barrier to getting back to class. When healthcare officials say that you can still be testing positive 30 days after, well, you obviously, if that's your standard, you're either ignorant when it comes to science, or you just don't want to be in classes. And if you don't want to be in classes, that's fine. Listen, thank you for your service to our children. Now go get another job.
So in response to the union.
I mean, last year, teachers were our heroes. And this year, it's the Democrats who are throwing them under the bus. You have the Democrat. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, go ahead. Please put that up, because UNICEF is like calling on teachers to not be, complainers.
Open up, get them back in there, get those back in there, because disruptions would be disastrous. As if going to school right now would be normal on any level anyway. None of this is normal.
And absolutely none of the discussion on CNN ever focuses on what the long-term effect could potentially be. We have no idea.
Right. We do see that Dr. Eric Feigl-Ding it's downright shameful and scandalous that long COVID kids has doubled in 3 months and tripled in 6 months in kids 2 to 16. I mean, there's no talk about that. And again, all these people who are talking about just, getting those kids back to school and pretending that they really care about kids in poorer communities who, don't have ventilation and whose parents are overwhelmingly in support of keeping the schools closed until they're safe. So,
this is what they're lying about. They're lying about the numbers because parents don't overwhelmingly want their kids to be in school. I mean, a lot of people do believe that, but there's a lot of that because they believe COVID is mild and they're believing that this narrative, but they're not. If you're a parent, you're so stressed over life and paying your bills and going to work and not losing your job. And, the middle class is so fucked right now. I don't blame people. Like, people latch on to the bullshit being spun on CNN and MSNBC because their life is so affected by it. They are in such dire straits that it's easy for people in that situation to believe a narrative that makes their life easier.
And you want to trust your government. And I mean, like, we were told that this was the, restore the soul of a nation and the Believe Science Administration. Thankfully, the kids are all right. Right?
Yeah, where's that video? I should push it. I'm going to push the video. Here we go.
Go ahead.
Hey, wait, before I just want to apologize for saying that women in tech, you're amazing at tech. That was a joke in case it wasn't clear.
No humor here.
But,
nope.
The kid. Okay, so teachers are taking it on themselves. Teachers are striking and protesting, and the kids are too, because everyone sees this is fucked. It's stupid. Take a few weeks off of school and figure out where the hell we are with this before we do anything. But here's the kids.
So kids going to school in Brooklyn Tech, and then walking out in protest to show that they value their own lives because the adults in the room, the people in government, would just send them off to a lifetime of long COVID or worse, death. I mean, I don't even know at this point, like what we're weighing, but it does seem like there's a militancy that's growing in our country, and that is something to be hopeful about, right? With all the strikes, with the kids being so engaged politically in their future and in their present. So,
Right. And I think everyday normie sort of Dems look at the Democratic Party going to war with teachers, and for some of them that wakes them up. Like, why? Like, because parents and their kids, they're very aware of the health risks.
Yep.
I mean, not all of them are, obviously, but en masse, people are looking at this and they're making their own assessments. More people are making their own judgment and not taking the mantra of CNN and MSNBC as Democrats because of how obvious some of this shit is right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, before I get too drunk, thanks to those shots.
Chipping away.
Whatever I just said sounded a little wobbly to me. I'm not.
No, it's good. It's good.
It's a little wobbly.
To my ears, it sounded.
This
excellent.
Is the time to end the show.
Yeah. So power to the people. Keep standing up for your rights. Do not be afraid to speak out and be unpopular. I am unpopular all over my Facebook parent boards. But we got to speak out because, this is it. Like, we only have one job out here, and that's to fight for what's right. So thank you for joining us. We'll be back next week, and keep punching up.
Cheers. Appreciate everyone watching.
Thanks, guys.
Like I said, thanks, guys.